And we are live. Hi guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with Ty McDonough. He's talking about Halloween costumes. Before we get into that, everyone say hello to Dashi.
Hi, Dashi.
All right. So, what is your Halloween costume this year?
All right. So earlier in the week, I went as Fred Jones from Scooby Doo.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It was pretty solid, not gonna lie. Then I also today I'm gonna wear all green. I'm going to a comedy show, so
Okay.
I'm gonna wear this orange elf hat, and I'm gonna be a leprechaun.
So leprechauns are typically very, very short, though, right?
I know it's a joke. A lot of
Are people?
the comics I'm seeing are very short. It's
Well, what's your percentage of Irish that you are?
almost half.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's not like cultural appropriation, whereas like I'm dressing as okay.
They're body shaming me if they say anything.
That's true. You identify as a short person. I mean, you don't clearly, but for tonight's costume, you will.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
oh, so that's where you're going later. You got a Halloween party to go to?
Yeah, it's a comedy show out in Farmdale. It's a good time.
Nice.
Funny
I
people.
I went to the premiere of Black Adam a few weeks ago, and I no one. I mean, there was a couple people that were like they had Batman and like shirts on, and they had like Black Adam shirts, whatever. But it wasn't like real cosplay until I saw Alexa Bliss. You know who she is?
It just sounds like a porn star name.
She's a WWE superstar,
Okay.
and
Right.
she's like, I think she was women's champion. She's really really good. She's really really popular, and without all the makeup and whatever, she's just like the normal like white girl. But when she puts on the makeup, it's almost like a Harley Quinn, like emo girl type thing. And
Okay.
I swear, as soon as I saw her, inside my head started playing, "I'm in love with an emo girl," and I don't know why that they always just get me. Who do you have like a weakness to any like type of woman? Like, is there a type that you're just like, oh, it's over. They have me. I'm done.
Yeah, as soon as they say hi, I'm like, oh.
As
Yeah, I
soon as
don't
they
know.
show interest.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I just roll the punches. I'm like, hey, I try to keep a neutral demeanor when I interact with anybody new.
So you don't seem too excited, like a puppy is excited to see its owner. Like,
Only when I'm like really drunk. Then I'm just like super happy. I just want to play and just like, greet everybody and hump legs and stuff.
yeah, I get like that too. Is that I have a friend Dan's yesterday, and just had a Halloween party, and it was just I don't know, like I love him. I just love people, especially when I get a little tipsy. He's got a
Yeah.
bar downstairs. Like, what's up,
Yeah.
guys? Yeah, it was a good time.
Oh man. Yeah, it's a great
So,
time.
so obviously, from My Little Pony, spreading love and toleration is always seen as good. But I also think that it's not so much as an echo chamber, but I think that it is good for people with conflicting ideas to go and be able to talk about them.
Oh,
As
I
Jordan
absolutely
Peterson,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, Jordan Peterson says that to have free speech, you have to risk being offensive. So there's a lot of turmoil that Elon Musk has been getting the last couple of days after he took over Twitter. People are saying like, oh, it's going to be a bunch of racist, whatever, and they cite like the use of the N word being up like 500%. But what they don't cite is the fact that you have most of those are coming from 300 accounts, which are just spamming things, trying to make it seem bad. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on Elon Musk buying Twitter? Good, bad, and different.
I think it's spicy. It's really good. It's like reality TV almost. It's just like it's like I love toxic things like that. It's infuriating to some people. I mean, it's it's kind of silly, it's in a way because like when it like we grew up in the 90s, right?
Yeah,
And it's like you remember like what it was like at lunch being called like, certain words and whatnot, and it's just
yeah. We
nothing.
grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like we were outnumbered, and so we had to like grow like tough skin or they were gonna eat us alive,
uh,
so it was just one of those things where I feel like somewhere along the way, like we grew too like hypersensitive, and eventually, I feel like I experienced this when I first started working for the government because I used to consider myself like really like open-minded and like moderate. And then like I worked for the government and then like I was just put into an environment where everyone was like much more far leaning left and there wasn't as much room for discourse or discussion. It was
Yeah.
just you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And it's like, well, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's wrong. And it's just like it like slowly pushed me just like a little bit further right. And I was just like, all right, well, if I'm gonna be wrong, I'm gonna be wrong then. So it's like I became more offensive out of spite. And it's not a good quality to have, but like I think that's something that we have to get over as a society if we want, just spaces like Twitter to be neutral spaces. You got to stop pushing people away.
So why do you think humans have evolved that level of spite? Like, at what point was that an evolutionary advantage? You're like, well, it's like that thing on The Office where Michael's like, I'm
Gratification.
going to date your mom even harder now.
Yeah, absolutely gratification. Yeah, it's just a gratification because it's like, oh, you wanted me to be a villain. Well, here I am. And it's like, oh, this isn't what you expected because people do things to get a reaction out of you.
Uh,
So when you spaz a certain way, like I once when I was in my college frat, right? I was taking a shower and one of the guys in my house like broke into my bathroom as I'm showering and he like squirted something in my face. And I was furious.
mm,
And like I tried to like cool it off. I'm like, dude, I was furious. I was livid. I didn't even know what it was. It ended up being like lemon juice. Um,
and that
yeah,
sting.
yeah. I didn't even, man. It was like I knew it was yellow, so like a part of me thought it was pee, and I was just like, I was really trying my like. First off, I was scrubbing my face, and I was
Oh,
like, I tried counting down from like 10 to calm down, and
oh.
I got to 3 before I shut out the water. It's like, nah, I can't let this stand. So it's like I threw on I'm soaking wet. I throw on my shorts and I open the door and he like dumped out one of our garbage cans. It was a 15-person house and he dumped out one of the garbage cans and he was placing the garbage in front of the bathroom door so that when I got out of the shower, I would have had to walk through garbage.
Oh, what a dick.
So I grabbed him and I started throwing him around the house. And like I'm trying to like I'm like grabbing his head and like grabbing one of the cupboard doors and trying to slam it on him. And I got like one guy like pulling back my arm so I'm never able, but I'm still like throwing him around with the other arm.
Uh,
And I was just like, die, it was just a joke. It was just a joke. And I'm just like, well, are you laughing now? Is this the reaction that you wanted to see? What, do you think I would just get upset? No, now I'm angry and you're paying for it. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just what was this? Yeah, F around and find out.
I wish I could have seen that.
Oh yeah, it was
So
uh,
that was in your much younger years. And now that you're in like your 30s, do you think you'd have the same reaction?
I would like to say I've matured, but it takes a lot for someone to push me to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. If someone did that, I'd still probably react the same way. Because first off, you invade my personal privacy by like breaking into my bathroom while I'm showering. I'm
Mhm.
naked. I'm vulnerable. That's messed up.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I have nightmares to start like that. So it's just like it's just like a level of disrespect that you after a while you can't tolerate. Uh,
Uh, because I don't know if this is like a reason people are doing this because it is kind of funny. Like when I saw an episode of Scrubs where JD's talking about how Sarah Chalk Elliot is not good at personal pranks. He put a bucket of ice water on her while she was showering. So she decided to try to get him back, but she puts a raccoon in his shower while he's showering, and he obviously ends up really horrible.
yeah.
Um, do you think that people, maybe whether it's the media, people that make shows, want to try to soften men into saying you shouldn't have a negative reaction? Because he had no negative reaction at all. He ran into a door, but he didn't get her back. Like the
Yeah.
emasculation of men. Do you think that's what's happening, or is that just one or two examples?
I think it's like it's a mixed bag, right? Because like I think there is a large portion of society that wants men to be softer. And it's understandable because some guys don't deserve to have children, you know.
Mhm.
And it's the guys that like stalk women, that like can't take rejection well and just spaz out
Yeah.
and it's like those guys need they need to be softened up, Um, but like guys like me, like guys like you, like I don't know, I don't feel like we're soft. I feel like there's nothing wrong with how we well, there's a lot wrong with you, but there's nothing wrong with how like I interact with people in a way. Like I always like approach people with the same demeanor. Like, it's like I don't feel I feel like there's a line of like what we can do better. Like you shouldn't beat the crap out of your son because he doesn't
Mhm.
he wants to like do theater and not basketball.
Yeah.
It's I mean, but you need a degree of toughness in the world, and I feel like they're trying to kill toughness, and I don't think we could afford that.
Agreed. I
And
forget
I,
who
I
it
think I think the toughness doesn't apply solely to men. I think it's a universal thing, because it's people should have the right to do whatever they want, wear whatever they want, but at the same time, like we don't live in a world like that. It's like you have a right to, but at the same time, you have to do what's best for yourself safely. And so it's just like it's kind of like a wake up call, where you're not really free. And so you need a deal of toughness to survive a world where you're not as free as you think you are.
do you think that problem is just in America, or do you think that problem varies throughout each country, like in parts of Europe where, and I'm probably gonna get in a lot of trouble for this, like in parts of Europe where there's these refugees, I think it's in Switzerland, and the amount of sexual assault crimes has gone up like
Oh yeah, England,
exponentially.
England, acid attacks are on the rise from
Acid attacks?
yeah, the refugees are throwing acid in people's faces.
Oh my
Dang.
goodness.
They have like a whole section of France, just like essentially like I don't want to say quarantine, but like when people describe it, it sounds like they quarantine like, refugees in France. Like Greece just has massive crime problems. It's uh it's sad, right? Because it's like on the one hand you want to help people, but at the same time you also have to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um and if you can't rely on your governing body to keep you safe, like you still need a degree of toughness yourself. And part of that is, if you take away toughness for people, I feel like you're gonna get a lot less people that want to enlist in the military, a lot less people that want to, you know, pursue a career in law enforcement of some kind. So it's eventually, what are you going to be left with? Are you going to be left with a bunch of like peace officers that just are trying to negotiate conflicts? Like
Yeah.
you have to be
I,
practical here because people are bad.
I have seen that with friends in the military that say that the recruitment is so recruitment in general is down because a lot of people aren't in shape. So then when you get to like the battlefield airmen, or you get to like the squirrels, like the spec ops guys, that they are scraping from the bottom of the barrel, where there's literally not enough in shape people to that are volunteering to go in
Yeah.
to fulfill those teams. So they're yeah,
Speaking in
it's
shape.
bad. Yeah, get it. Um, so I'm wondering what the consequences of that are going to be if we actually do have to ramp up again, and we have to go to another, like, what's that, South China Sea, or let's say that the Ukraine is put into the European Union. Well, now if you're put into the European Union, then everyone goes to war, and then what happens at that point? I think America is woefully. I saw it when I came back from Kuwait, and you're around military all the time, so everyone's kind of relatively in shape. And then you come back to the states, and everyone's like not in shape. It's like, oh wow, this
Yeah.
forgot what civilians look like. Um, yeah, I think that you should probably have I don't know, if you were president, would you? I know we already have gym class like once or twice a week, but would you make
I
it
would,
like no physical
I
fitness every
would,
day?
I would segregate the fat kids and all the chubby kids would be in a separate gym class. Yeah, because like I feel like gym isn't really catered to them,
Mhm.
even though they might be in the most need of assistance. Like all like they would have a separate lunch period, separate gym classes, and it's insane because like I feel like if I start describing this person, you're gonna know who I'm talking about. A kid we went to high school with that was on the bus with us. You don't have to say his name, but
Do we take the bus in high school?
no, well, elementary and middle.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Yeah, he lived.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he just progressively just put on more weight, more weight, more weight, and
Wow.
it's. I mean, in high school, he weighed like 340,
Damn.
and yeah, it was bad, and I was like, he couldn't do push-ups, and I feel like there are training regimens for those kids. Like, hey, we want to like, instead of like joining a club after school, like, hey, your kid's like desperately in need of like fitness. So
Yeah.
like, we're gonna prepare like an after school meal for them, and this is what they're gonna do. Like, I would love to see more of that.
Yeah.
It's like even like I'm a big guy. Like obviously like it's like I'm 6'5", I'm like 310 pounds.
Your punches hurt like a mother flapper.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I'm very strong, but it's like I I wasn't always healthy and strong, and it's there's not necessarily a weight requirement, but like how you feel as well. And then, like if you don't feel strong, odds are you're probably not strong. So I would love to have more kids feel strong.
Yeah.
That would be my number one priority.
Yeah. I think that you have a lot of people now, especially people in the tech world, that have never had any type of power before because a lot of people in tech are small and weak. And suddenly when you have, these companies and you have a lot of power, I feel like a lot of people really don't know how to have that because they never had it before. That's the
Yeah,
one problem I had with like the Captain America movie, the first one, where it's like, oh, maybe now what we need is a little guy, someone that's never had power before. I was like, that sounds awful. That sounds really, really bad.
yeah. Because you imagine like he probably had that chip on his shoulder, and now he's like ready to lash out.
Oh God, yeah.
Um, it's like I like because you imagine like yeah, we all have short friends. Like the guy who's like 5'5" and thinks he'll never find love because girls won't, you know,
I mean, you
honor
can't
him.
fault him for thinking that.
I mean, no, I mean, listen, it happens. But if you gave a guy like that the super soldier serum, and now he's like 6'4", and like he had all that pent up rage, do you think he's like, oh, cool, all that's gone now? I have like, it's like now I'm like I have the ideal body. No, because it's never going to be enough.
Uh,
Because now that you've achieved something that you didn't think was possible for, like you're gonna think it's human greed. You're gonna think like, what more can I get? So you're probably gonna start like treating women like crap. It's gonna be a revenge tour. You're gonna have a hot boy summer.
the the hot boy summers are real, man.
Yeah,
They they have like so I read this statistic the other day. It said that only or I think women when they're on dating apps, they only swipe right like 10 to 15% of the time, whereas guys will swipe right like 50%
everything,
of the time. Hmm?
everything, everything. Just like
Everything.
yeah, everything.
I, I guess, yeah. Um,
It's
and
numbers.
it's just
It's a numbers game because it's just like you just see who bites, and then like then like you do like a second screening. Like, all right, do I really want to swipe here? And then I think after a while they like limited swipes. So yeah, some apps you can only like swipe a certain amount a day.
I could only swipe like 20 or 30 people a day, and then
I don't know the number.
uh,
It's been a while. I just go
so
out like a normal person and talk to women.
yeah, I like that too. Um, with the so apparently
Well, it's
like
not
what's
normal.
happening. Hmm?
You're a weirdo now if you just go out and talk to women.
That's true. Yeah, it's so strange. I don't know. I just like ever since like I became single again a few months ago, I have like no desire to go out and well, one, it's like I love the company of people in general, but I don't know. I feel like with when most relationships, whether you get married or not, I feel like a lot of them just end up in divorce and heartache, and I have no
Yeah.
desire to ever feel like that ever again. It's
So
like
you'll just settle for the heartache of loneliness.
um Yeah, I mean, it's not really heartachy right now. I think I think I felt it a little bit yesterday when I was the only single adult at the Halloween party, and everyone had like matching costumes and stuff. I was like,
Oh no.
yeah.
Oh no. Bro, I'm giving you a hug.
So that was interesting. Also, everyone, with the exception of one couple, they all had kids. I was like, maybe there's something to this. But yeah, I mean, it's outside of that, there's really no negative feelings that I have because I guess also being like a YouTuber now and having a little bit of influence on like Twitter and whatever, it's like, okay, I'm never really lonely because I have a bunch of people messaging now,
Oh
and
yeah, it's great, you know.
that's why I'm so bad at messaging back people. It's like days like I'm sorry guys, I just um, but yeah,
I apologize for having people care about you.
I would much rather
Nice little flex there you slept in, by the way.
I would much rather not have the not have that short term, even though that short term could be you could have years of bliss with somebody, but just that end is why I don't have it. It's why I'm not pumped to get like a dog. I love dogs, but they die, man. And you could have
Yeah.
many dogs you want, and they're most of them are gonna die before you. And it's just
I'm like, I'm working on a joke about dogs because like I love dogs. But the idea of a dog, like I see a dog, my heart melts. I'm like, ah, perfection. But like when I'm not looking at a dog and I think about like the dog in my head, I'm like, the idea of a dog is kind of stupid. And I was like what business do you have being happy all the time? Like, we neutered you. Like, if I was neutered, I wouldn't be happy all the time.
it's true. Well, I mean,
Wouldn't
you'd lose the organ that gives you testosterone, so the rage would be harder to come by, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I don't think I've ever seen a eunuch in fiction that was just super happy. Like, hey guys, what's going on?
It's a good point. Yeah. I mean, although they're mostly done like before they really go through that stage, they're done at like 5.5, 6 months old before they learn all the bad habits or not good habits.
Oh yeah, I guess.
So that's fair. Speaking of of rage, there's been a lot of rage towards Kanye recently,
Yeah.
and I don't know how much of it is justified and how much isn't. I haven't heard exactly what he had said. I think he had, and I'm quoting here. I think he says like he blamed the Jewish media, end quote, for I don't know what he blamed them for, and I feel like the quote would have been fine if he just said media, but because he said Jewish,
Yeah.
so I know you follow Kanye. What happened with that? What's the interpretation of it? Was he like off his meds? Was he just
No,
did he speak?
all right. I'm gonna say something that like it doesn't apply to everyone.
Huh?
Um, but like there is the relations between the black community and the Jewish community are terrible. They've never been
Oh,
they've never been strong. And it's like I don't like, it's like we grew up with, very good friends who were Jewish and
yeah,
it's like, like if you look at my house, right? Next door, across the street, behind, and across the street to the left, all Jewish families that I grew up with.
yeah,
And so it's like I didn't really have the same experience as like other black people, whereas
yeah,
like you grow up in a more like confined space, it's but I hear it, I've seen it, with like family and whatnot, but it's like and pretty much every person I've talked to about the Kanye situation, they've all said pretty much something along the lines of, well, yeah, we all feel that way, but we're not supposed to say it.
Oh, so this is like a problem that goes way back, and because of most people's experiences that obviously haven't been like yours, because yours have been mostly positive, and so have mine. Uh,
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, it's like, because on the one hand, like, racism is like, it's funny, right? But
I do appreciate the dark humor. Yes.
exactly. But it's like, to actually believe certain things, like, all right, well, you might. But, you listen to people like long enough, like, you think about conspiracy theories, people love conspiracies, people love racism. It's like, it's a toxic marriage. And
Uh,
then, people love being trolls. And it's just like, ah, man, this is an unholy trinity. And it's a shame, but like you look at Whoopi Goldberg, she says a lot of radical things about white people every now and then.
yeah,
But she said one remark about the Holocaust that, like, from what I remember, wasn't even like that bad. It was like insensitive,
yeah,
but was a dumb thing to say, but it wasn't as bad as anything else that she's like said.
Yeah.
And she said one remark, suspended.
Damn.
Nick Cannon, they removed him Viacom, like try cutting all ties with him.
What did he say?
He repeated some common anti like Semitic like rhetoric that's
I was wondering what happened to him.
exists among like the Black community. So like they cut ties. So I think he was hosting like America's Got Talent or something like one of those.
Yeah.
You know, he was no longer the host. They tried to replace him on Wild 'N Out, but all the like guys they approached like, nah, I'm not gonna do that as Nick Cannon. So they didn't have a choice but to like, you know, keep him because it's his property.
Oh wow. Oh wait,
Yeah.
he created that?
Yeah. Ice Cube. Every now and then it comes up like anti-Semitic remarks that he's made in his music. He made like an NWA like diss track when he left NWA, and he told them like it was. I'm trying to think how I could say it without being vulgar, but basically he says they were all being lubed up by by the Jews,
Yeah.
and bent over and having their way with and it was just it's like, oh, why would you say that? And it was like, well, that's how it feels from my perspective. We don't own the rights to our own music. We're not getting paid for what we deserve, and these people are taking advantage of us, and they just like happen to belong to a certain group of people, and it doesn't. No one's ever said like, hey, most Black people feel this way, because you're not going to say that. You're not supposed to say that, but
damn.
From my own personal life, I've heard it's a lot of Black people who feel that way. But Kanye is just,
vocalized it. You're saying
he's speaking for a lot of people, and I think that's a problem when you try to cancel someone like Kanye or Ye, because he's someone with such influence that, but like they're dismissing everything he says as just a madman. But I think we're missing a great opportunity to be like, well, he's actually speaking about something that a lot of people feel. If we can like put aside the hurt feelings, this would be a really great opportunity to have a more open discourse about why people feel this way about like the Jewish community, and try and move forward, right? Because like people always do that about the Black community, right? Like there's always seminars, and you always have like some white guy like approach like a Black seminar and be like, yeah, like why do you guys like talk about like police brutality and whatnot when you guys commit more crime against each other than anybody? And it's like, it's those are stereotypes associated with the Black community, but obviously a lot of the stereotypes are rooted in some form of fact, right? And it's not necessarily like true, like because you can explain like, well, when you live in a community where there's a lot of poverty and you're on top of each other, you're not really the odds of people escaping their communities is very low. And if they commit crime anyway, who else would they commit crime against if not other people in their station? And it's not just like, oh man, another Black guy, like, let me light him up. Like nobody's doing that. So unfortunately, Ye he's speaking what a lot of people feel. And like I'm in some Facebook groups that are like predominantly Black, and like the topic of Kanye has been banned. Like they like the admins like just sniped any post about
wow.
And it's because they know, like everyone knows, because like before they were sniping these posts, it was the same thing coming up. It's like, hey, well, he's not really wrong. And it's like, so when you're supposed to have like a group that's about being inclusive, that rhetoric, like social media isn't the best place to have to discuss hard topics of rhetoric.
So when he takes over Parler, do you think you think he should continue this conversation, or do you think like Kanye's a little too heated? Like you're not the guy to talk about this.
It's hard. I think he's made himself a central figure now. But if there were like more level-headed people, just like be like, hey, like he's not like it's like that Anthony Mackie meme from Falcon Winter Soldier. It was
Which
like,
one? I feel like
he's
it's two
not
different.
wrong. The he's not wrong meme.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I forget how it goes. 'Cause I didn't
He
watch
said,
the series.
like, you're out of line. He's out of line, but he's not wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like find the guys like that to
yeah,
like talk with Kanye. It's like, you know what? It's like maybe it's time like we push past this and
yeah,
have a actual discussion. Like if Ice Cube be like, hey, I've been accused of being like an anti-Semite, but like I have a public like friendly image now.
yeah.
Let's talk about it. Or it's uh it's a tough dice because at the same time, like they're rappers. You know,
Yeah.
you're not if you get like Barack Obama up there, then maybe. But at the same time, Barack Obama, like he wasn't raised like I was with he didn't hear the rhetorics that I heard growing up about like the Jewish community, just because he was raised white. He was raised by a white family.
Yeah.
He didn't have a real relationship with like his father's side, and you know, so he doesn't guys like Barack don't have the reference that I like maybe I would have, even
Yeah.
though they're obviously much darker. It's they don't run into the same problems or experiences. So it's a tough find to find the right person to talk about it, right?
That's a good point. And also, like, so you have the side of Kanye that's like a musical genius that kind of helped shift the way that rap went for a certain amount of time. But
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
have the
He
side that,
started gangster rap.
yeah, then you have the side that of Kanye where he's on Twitter talking about how Kim and the whole family want to commit him, and he's like, I feel like I'm in Get Out. I feel like they want to like put me away, and it's like, okay, well, maybe they want to do that. Why do they want to do that? And it kind of makes you question because sometimes he does say some out there stuff. Sometimes
Yeah.
the choices that he makes are a little weird.
No, absolutely. He's a complicated guy. I don't. Yeah, it's he's gone too far in some regards, and I think a problem is when people call other people out, that you have a choice. It's either you relent or like you kind of double down in a way that like a lot of people don't find another option. So
Mhm.
when you get double down behavior, it just becomes worse.
Yeah,
Because the second you say F it, like it's like you're in no mood to negotiate. You
yeah,
become the villain. It's what I was saying earlier. You're being pushed away. You're being pushed further down
uh,
the rabbit hole, and that happens by doubling down.
so it's like someone put lemon juice in his face, and now he's like, all right, heck it, and he starts throwing people around.
Yeah, one armed.
One arm. So speaking of people going too far, there are bands that I think that have gone too far on Twitter. Where you had Jordan Peterson band, you had Trump band,
Oh,
and
Babylon B. Yeah, banned.
who's the other one?
Babylon B. The satire.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
um. So what do you think about all of these people coming back, all of these accounts coming back? Do
I
you think
mean,
the pendulum will swing the other way, and it's going to get so crazy on Twitter that people leave, or do you think like
so
it's needed?
wasn't it one of the leaders of Al Qaeda had his Twitter?
I
And
don't know.
yeah, like and it was like, yeah, I think I remember seeing this like when the whole like evacuation from Afghanistan was going on, they were talking about how these terrorists had Twitter accounts, but the president of the United States was banned from Twitter.
Yeah, that's
Like
oh my, I
Babylon
didn't.
B banned from Twitter. These
Yeah,
people are taking slaves, forcing women and children into like forced marriages and slavery. Like, it's and like these people are allowed to have a voice on a platform, but you're gonna ban the pound. I don't know. It seems very silly when people do that. When you don't have a consistent, you know, way of mitigating or relegating like punishments to people for
yeah,
certain violations because at the same time like hey this space has a certain code of conduct, so we expect everyone to follow this. If you violate it, all right, you're gonna get punished. But if other people actively do this and you don't punish them, you lose your credibility.
yeah. That is very. I think the only way, and I doubt Twitter used it for this reason, but the only way I could kind of justify it would be saying like, okay, well, I would rather have the leader of Al Qaeda have a Twitter, so I know what they're posting, so I know what they're up to, so that I can kind of see what they're thinking.
Yeah,
Now, obviously,
yeah,
Twitter's not using it in that way, and I
yeah.
think
I doubt it.
if I was like leader of terrorists, I would post one thing on Twitter and then do the actual opposite. So kind of so even if their plan was to try to track them, it wouldn't make sense. It's very very easily gotten around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Uh, when these people come, so you're not really active on Twitter too much, are you?
No, yeah.
Why not, man?
I don't
So,
know. I like going on social media to look at dogs. That's that's my thing. I share dog videos in comedy. I try to make people laugh, and I feel like Twitter's not a place to make people laugh. It's a place to incite.
I think it can be. I think Twitter is totally a place where you can. I mean, it depends. Echo chambers work in many ways. If you follow comedians or you follow accounts that are just funny, then that's what you'll get in your feed.
Yeah.
You follow me, I'll be posting a bunch of EV NFTs that I'm taking
I
pictures
think
with.
I think I do follow you. I just don't go on Twitter.
The so speaking of EV NFTs, I think the last time I had you on was for the Voltron drop.
It was on after Nick and Meg's wedding.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that was episode 50.
Yeah, I remember. Um, have you looked at the app ever since?
I looked at it, and it's one of those things. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And it's like
Is that
it's
it?
hard. Yeah. It's like what are you doing? Just do it.
I get that way sometimes with working out. Like I was supposed to do it yesterday, and then it's like, well, I got that party later. Let me do, and then I just didn't. And same thing with today. I was like, oh, I got Ty's podcast later, and now it's too late. So tomorrow. And I know you could only say that so many times before you're just.
Yeah, it's resistance is a son of a gun. That's all it is. It's just resistance. It's what stops you from trying stand up or writing new music, writer's block, it's and eventually you gotta force yourself to run out of excuses.
So speaking of, well, I don't know if this will fall under excuses or not. You can, for those that don't know, you are very smart. I don't think you have an eidetic memory, but it's pretty close. You can remember.
Yeah, apparently, like the scientific community says, there's no such thing as an eidetic memory. But like,
I know at least one person that will remember everything. I think you met him, Rich Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
yeah, but I feel like I'm pretty close to like what most people are gonna get.
Yeah. So for me as a dummy thinking that, okay, if I was that smart and I had this, it's like the Spider-Man, okay, now I'm responsible to like try to maybe help the world in some way.
Yeah.
Why do you think comedy is a good career path for someone like you?
Oh, it's just entertainment in general, right? Because if you look at like other countries, like Zelensky, prime example.
Yeah.
Comedian. Hi, Meg. If you look at like Zelensky, he started off as comedian, and then he gained like political power. If you look at the boxing world, the Klitschko brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They became politicians, and now they're like war heroes and stuff. And they use their gifts to gain public exposure and to create a public profile. And by having a public profile, even if you don't necessarily have monetary power, just having like public perception and public power is a great tool to have for anything you want to accomplish, like going forward. Having name power is a great tool to have. And so you'll be able to much more influence things. Like if I attach myself to like a lobbyist organization or something like that, having influential power that way would be phenomenal. Like if I can run for office because I'm famous and people like my ideas, then I could actually, hey, like I really want to tackle, the fitness in schools. It's like, make it less about, what people weigh and just make sure these kids are healthy.
Yeah, that's a good point. So on this timeline, and obviously no one can tell, you could be right on the cusp of greatness and getting your big break, and you'll never know it.
Yeah.
But there's the timeline. Say like, hey, in my 30s now, I will do everything that I think is fun, but will lead me to fame, which could lead me to helping people. And then when I'm 40, if it hasn't worked out, then I'll just go and work on
Yeah.
whatever. Or do you have
Um,
a much smaller timeline?
I feel like I have a small timeline. Um, because I look at the way I spent my 20s, and I spent my 20s a lot in public service, whether working first with AmeriCorps, well, even before that in college, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of community service. Um, so like I built my foundation on giving back. And I feel like a lot of people don't, a lot of career people don't do what I've done until like they're later in life,
No.
where they had families and they have like their jobs, but like they're kind of settled in their role, and now they feel like, all right, you know what, let me start like giving back.
Yeah.
And by then, I kind of feel like it's a bit late to establish like a public profile, and not everybody's looking to establish like a public profile. And I'm not, I didn't spend my 20s giving back to create, solely to create a public profile. Like I wanted to do it. Like that's
Yeah.
what, that was my mission in mind. Um, but now that I spent, my 20s helping people, leading communities, organizing fundraisers, learning the ins and out of the nonprofit sector, now it's time. It's like, all right, my 30s, it's like, all right, it's time to get real selfish. It's like
Yeah.
I kind of earn some karma points. It's like, I'm going all in on me. This is the time. I'm gonna like walk around like a bronze goddess. It's well, God,
So,
God.
so speaking of goddess, there was I forget who it was. You'll know because you study all the ancient Greek gods. That there is a goddess I think called Freuja, who was like the goddess of love, and was told that she had a chariot that was led by cats. Is that true? And
Sounds like a lot for God.
what do you make of that of the goddess of love that is run by the chariot run by cats?
Ah, that's a joke. That's another word for cat. Uh, yeah.
Oh. Wait,
Uh,
is it really? Because I saw it on TikTok and I was like, oh, okay, this. So that would make sense that the joke just went over my head.
yeah, it sounds like a joke. Yeah, it's a little dirty joke.
I get it now. I'm a little mad at myself that I didn't see it at first. There's
Uh,
um,
it could be, but um, I wrote a joke about how in like we see fictional characters that are redheads, and they're put on the big screen. That Hollywood loves making them black. So like Wally West,
like Ariel and well, yeah, and then okay,
Ariel, Wally West, Jimmy Olsen, Superman's best pal. They
yeah,
just love making redhead characters. Okay, Freya, that's the Norse goddess.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah, brothers, Frey, he has a sword. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, she's important. All right. Because I was thinking of Greek. That's because that's kind of how you started it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
she's like the fertility goddess.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
but so yeah, so it's like you look at all these fictional gingers that they're made black on the big screen, and I feel like when I did this joke, I said I think it's an inside joke for Hollywood guys, because if you look at the word ginger and switch the first G with the N, what do you get? And then I pointed at like the redhead guy in front. He's like this white guy. I'm like, Brendan, don't you effing say it.
Uh,
And it's I'm
so
like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's like some Hollywood trolls like
that's awesome.
the joke. Yeah.
That would be so wild. That'd be
Because it's
legendary.
literally it's always mostly ginger fictional characters. I guess I don't know. Like I mean, and there are a lot of beautiful gingers out in the world. I don't see.
Hmm. Hmm. Agreed. Yeah. Like Kirsten Dunst, I've been Googling for like 20 years. There's uh, she's a ginger. No, you don't like her?
She's not a ginger.
She was in Spider-Man.
Yeah, she's a blonde though. She's a natural blonde.
Is she really?
Yeah, you don't remember the health class? In health, well, you don't remember, but in health, we had to watch a movie on like teen pregnancy, and like that was like one of her like acting like debuts. Like she was like a pregnant teen. She was a blonde.
Oh no, I feel like I should remember this because I love her, but I guess yeah, I didn't. Oh well,
Nicole Kidman is a natural ginger.
like her too.
Um, Emma Stone, blonde.
Emma Stone's blonde.
Yeah,
I know she
so,
got blonde for Spider-Man 2, but I
yeah,
thought she was like,
natural hair.
oh,
That's her natural hair.
wow,
Spider-Man 2 is her natural hair.
whoa,
Oh yeah, Zendaya being cast as Mary Jane, another redheaded character.
that's true. I
Uh,
love Zendaya though. That's she's fine. She'll get a pass. She can be Mary Jane. She can be MJ.
she can be anything she wants.
Yeah, love her. Uh,
I
so
used to
there.
get a crush on her, and then Instagram told me I looked like her, and I saw it, and I hated it.
Wait. Oh, you like what celebrity do you look like? Like a
Yeah,
filter, and then it happened to
mhm.
be.
And like it was just like our mouth and like nose like perfectly matched up, and I hated myself. I'm
Oh
like,
man,
no, because I never
that
wanted to be those people that like like oh you date like you're someone that looks like your sister or whatever. Um, but
yeah. This is why I'll. This is why I'm scared to. Not I'm scared to go to Peru, but I will not. Just because I swear off like relationships doesn't mean I'll swear off having fun. But
yeah,
I don't think I could go to Peru and have like God forbid someone I'm romantically involved with happens to be like a cousin or something. And I think anyone that's from Peru, I don't think I could ever be with that way.
that's so stupid.
But I don't know if I
I
just
get
I
it. I
don't.
get it. I get it. Um, I guess ask like, hey, does anybody in your family ever like give away some brown kid in a dumpster?
I get. I mean, I feel like that's a story that's like hidden. That's like a lost family secret that nobody really talks about until you give like your Aunt Jenny some alcohol on like her 60th birthday, and she blurts it all out. You know.
It's probably something they cry about once every Friday. It's like we should have at least emptied the dumpster before we put them in there.
I mean, if they did that, then you'd get a thunk. Like at least when there's garbage in there, there's padding.
I'll never forget you after a wake. We were sitting around, and this is when I first started making the dumpster jokes because you just said something that was so dumb. You were just like, "Yeah, guys, like it was really nice seeing all the family there for this person that just died, but when I go, just throw me in the garbage. It's fine." And like it was so like insensitive. I was just like, "Oh, so you want to like leave the world how you came into the world?"
In a
And
dumpster.
yeah,
Oh, that's so good. I hope you make that part of your routine, and I hope people ask, like, dumpster
I did. I actually did. Um,
winning.
I talked about how because I have like a lot of like my core circle. They share like a lot of like similarities. Like three of them were born premature. Three of them like lost their dads at like a young age. Two of which were like to suicide. And then I got like three friends who were like all adopted from like third world countries.
Mhm.
And and it's like two of you get real uppity sometimes. And so it was my one buddy, he's in really good shape, but like he considered himself like a foodie, like a master chef. So like I was in Connecticut and he was recommending this like Italian restaurant. I was like, yeah, they do like really cool like family style meals. And I stopped and I was like, they let you in? And he was like, yeah, why? And I was like, yo, you just said it's a family restaurant. And
What's his reaction?
he's like, damn. I did. I also wrote the story. It's like I don't know if one of my exes, you met us for sushi, and you came straight from the gym, and you smelled like crap. So like I said, you smelled like your delivery room, and she said like, what does that mean? And I said, because he's a dumpster baby.
I think I remember that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my first time meeting her. I think too.
Oh baby.
Yeah. So she had like the worst impression of me, like the worst first impression ever.
I think it was worse for me.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have a cute sense of smell.
Well, no, just like her perception of me just like went down like 5 points.
Oh yeah, that's
I was like,
true.
holy God.
Who you associate with. I
Yeah. So
I love that.
I ended this set. It was like, yeah, he thought it was funny. Her, not so much. He told me I should stop with the orphan jokes. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe she has a point looking back. Maybe I should just abandon them to save face. And yeah.
The,
You're in there. I don't mention names, but I'm testing out this material. It's pretty fun.
you totally could be like, yeah, man, this guy Randy Chavez. You could YouTube him right now. YouTube him, get me subscribed.
Real Randy Chavez.
Be like, go there, be like, Ty sent you. Go there and be like, yeah, made this dumpster baby joke.
I hope you change your first name to the real, and just make Randy Chavez like your last name. Move it from your first name, last name, just like slowly just move it to like the last name spot. So your last name is Randy Chavez.
People never. I feel like from like military and onward, I've got really comfortable with just Chavez. But since the slight YouTube fame, everyone when they see me like, oh my God, Randy Chavez. Like they just say they say the full name.
Dude,
So,
I never call you Randy. I call you the real Randy Chavez because it's just funny to me.
The real.
Hey, I'm here with the real.
Just the real. People will be waiting for that second. Real what? Real who?
I got a nickname at stand up the other day, and at the open mic it wasn't a bad nickname. There was one comic, he like said a dark joke, and the joke didn't exactly land.
Oh.
So he like kind of pulled at his collar, and he was like, "Oh man, can it get any darker up here?" And then like I was sitting next to like a black comic, and it was like obviously darker than me, and I tapped on his shoulder. I was like, "Hey man, that's your cue." And he was like, ah. And so he went up right after me, and he's like, "All right, everybody, give it up for Ty, aka Light Skin Lightning." And I was like, "I like that."
I like that too. Light Skin Lightning. You should put that next time you come on instead of Ty McDonough. Like Light Skin Lightning.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the next time I managed to get people together and we could do a Don't Say That podcast. That would be like my moniker. Like it's Light Skin Lightning, Lord Titanus. Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate that the only times where I can really laugh at like super dark comedy is like with friends or like alone. Because if you laugh about it in public and everyone just thinks you're a monster, it's like
when you got suspended from Facebook for that shoe.
Yeah.
Hysterical. And it's so bad. It's awful.
I would get canceled for that now. Like actually.
Funny.
And
oh my God. You saved that Golden Girls joke I made in our Snapchat like group, and I was like, don't save that.
I feel like Facebook algorithms have gotten even more sensitive because that was like years ago, and something I wrote.
Yeah, it was 2019.
So something I wrote earlier this year, I think was, it was last year when I had talked about men should be, and so I made like a dear men status and a dear women status, and the dear women status.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, that didn't get any hate at all. That was like, like, hey, dear women, you should do this. For those of you that don't know here, the dear men status was saying that in 2020, I was dating I won't say her name. I was dating this girl who was not small. She was like my height. She was like 5'9", 5'10", big for a girl. And like 140, 160.
Don't say big.
She was tall. She was tall. Like she wasn't this frail, like 5'1", 90-pound girl.
Yeah,
like
she was a woman.
She was a woman. And so she's 5'9", 5'10", like anywhere between like 140, 150 pounds, whatever. And she was sitting on the windowsill of the hotel just looking out, and I picked her up and then I threw her on the bed and she's like, whoa. I was like, you all right? And then she said, yeah, I just never had anyone pick me up like that. I was like, really? And she's not the first girl to ever tell me that. So I was like, man, y'all got to start lifting. Y'all got to start, like, women deserve to be treated like princesses. And every now and then, just picked up.
No,
Um,
absolutely. Like I think that's part of like where I would talk about fitness, like yeah, because like I feel like I feel like we should be able to come together as a society and say this is the bare minimum that someone should be able to do with their body. Like, it's like 5 push-ups, like even not anything crazy, like be able to run a quarter mile, like, at the same speed. And it's just like it's considered insensitive to f- to recommend people like working out because you then get into like body shaming and whatnot. It's like, listen, I'm never gonna look like Zach Efron. It's like my build's not meant for that.
yeah,
It's like because I'm tall and wide. Like shorter people are gonna look a lot more brolic with less.
yeah,
But it's at the same time, it's like there's benchmarks that I feel like should be universally like there's partly like the feel good status, and then it's like, yeah, like you should be able to run or do a push-up. Like these aren't, if you try at something, these aren't impossible things to attain.
I
And
saw.
nobody's talking about how you look or how much you weigh, but if you could do these physical things, like hey, you're in a good place.
Yeah, it'll feel better. I remember that being a big thing in the Rona scare because everyone was making those memes and posts be like, I don't care how you feel about like a mask or social distancing, even if it saves one life, you should do it. So my friend Lou, the guy that you met at my party, he's like, everyone should start working out and start dieting, even if it saves one life. And I don't know if he like got suspended for it, but he got a lot of hate for it. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're body shaming." I was like, he's like, "No, I'm not. No, forget it." He got so pissed. It was great. And it's true. Like that will help you live longer. Like in veterinary medicine, we
Yeah,
teach our clients that you are killing your dog because a obese dog will live 2 to 2.5 years shorter than its lean counterparts. And
yeah,
he's like, if you want more time with your dog, get them
no,
lean.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. It's like how do you get to it's tough because I feel like the only way to talk about fitness is to remove the "you should look like this" aspect.
uh,
Um, and like I think there's someone I follow on Instagram. She has a pretty positive message about fitness. I'm not sure if I agree with it like wholeheartedly, but
mm,
pretty much it's like you should like feel fit.
yeah,
And yeah, I could agree with that to a certain extent. And it's like because I mean it's like my arm, the size of my arms, doesn't necessarily determine how like strong or like fit I am, but they do help when I catch myself in the mirror. I'm just like, ooh,
just showing them.
you're looking pretty solid lately. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I could work on this a little bit more. It's like, yeah, you can't help it, right? And it's like, I think vanity, yeah, I think vanity is it's it's a bane, right? Because like I'm not in a place where I work out from a positive like state of mind, right? It's like when I work out, it comes from like a place of like rage and like self-loathing because
Yeah,
that's what motivates me and that's what works for me.
same.
But if I had like earlier intervention in life where like it was just something that was just expected of me and like as a required benchmark, maybe I would think about working out differently today. Maybe I wouldn't need all that hate and rage to like move forward. And so it's an interesting problem because I think more people could benefit from some deal of like self reflection, where it's like and I think that's why some people who want to do like fitness related things, they don't, because they don't want to feel bad to do what might be considered good.
Yeah,
It's like I don't want to feel bad about myself when I do it, because not everybody can use negativity as motivation.
yeah. I feel bad for those people because it's pretty endlessly renewable. The
But
the
at
rage
the same
like
time,
that.
like I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying like that's something that you don't have to watch like a Rocky video or you don't have to watch a inspirational video to do it. You just think of bad times and the rage that is a renewable energy source, at least for me and you.
For Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's funny because like whenever we sparred, I never felt rage. Only if you hit me low.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I mean
know,
that's just fun
that's
when
just
when
like
we do it.
Yeah, I was like, whenever like, like doing any kind of martial arts, I'm always like a clear-minded person.
Yeah.
And it's great. I wish I could do my regular workouts from a mental space like that, and like eventually I want to be able to do that because, it's like I'm still like, I mean, I've lost 100 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Like I've like, and like in a year, that's, it's great progress. Like right now it's like I'm going through like a weird like transition with like plateauing and whatnot, because like I'm still gaining a lot more muscle, but like the fat's like slower to burn. But
Yeah.
I'm still making considerable progress, which is great. But when I get to my goals, I don't want to have to work out from a place of rage anymore, because it's because it gets to a certain question, like, will enough ever be enough, right? When I reach my end goal and I'm still angry, what am I angry for? It's like an empty feeling. It's like revenge. When you finally get revenge, was it really worth it? Like, because what does that leave you with?
I
Will it ever
have
be enough? Will I ever be? It's like,
I,
huh,
I
I didn't expect to look like this in my end goal. I thought I would look better. You know.
I think there's two trains of thought on that. One is there's a quote from Hell on Wheels where this guy, I forget his name, was talking to another guy that wanted to kill someone,
Mm,
and for like a good reason, like kill his family, whatever. And he goes to Cullen Bohannon, that was his name, and he says, "Listen, man, I drank from that fountain and it don't quench." Basically, just saying like, yeah, you could do that. It's not gonna make you feel better. Like
yeah.
it might for a second while you do it, but then after that, still have that pain. But I think what's great about humans is that we are never satisfied. We are vain. We are greedy, and I think
Yeah.
that's what helps humans progress as a species. It's saying
Yeah,
like, okay,
it's greed is good, yeah, to an extent. It's just finding that balance. And I think eventually I'm gonna want to start trying to find some way to balance it. And I think part of that's just recognizing your progress. It's I've never been one to share, like, publicly share accomplishments, like you haven't, like, other than like me sending you like a couple of like snaps, like I haven't made some big posts about like my fitness journey or anything like that. It's like,
well, yeah,
uh,
why not?
I because like I don't want to reward myself, because that's like, to me that feels like a way of like rewarding myself for a job
Okay,
that's not finished.
fair. And so, there's a question: do you think that you should put your feelings aside to show people that, like, hey, this can be done, and you think that you can inspire other people by posting that?
Yeah, it's I think that's a good point. I didn't even think about it like that. Because at the same time, like I feel like one way of like um developing a positive mental space when you do work out is, I haven't tried it yet, but I think one way is just recognizing your accomplishments. Like, hey, you know what? I'm like pretty strong. Like, let me kind of recognize that, like to kind of build up a separate profile of yourself. So
Yeah,
like here's the profile that helped me get here, and here's the profile of like how I want to be going forward. And maybe it would. I just, it just like I said earlier, it's just like it feels like I'm not done yet. I don't want to. I kind of live my words by the. I kind of live by I'm not stopping. And I don't know. It's just like if I suffer, because I think also if I suffered a setback, right? Like if I like broke my leg working out and I couldn't run for
yeah.
like 3 6 months,
Ugh,
and I gained back like 40 50 pounds, like I'm gonna feel like a fool for ever posting about like how fit I was, like I felt, and like how great I felt.
yeah,
And
that's a good point.
and then it's like, ah, man, like now I have to start over. I have to start
Uh,
from scratch.
I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, that I mean, you could even maintain certain things in like your upper body, but yeah, your muscles and your legs are gonna really shrivel if they're inactive for that long.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's I don't know. Like I I know it's terrible to say, but like I get really frustrated by people who are not in shape, just talking about going to the gym as soon as like first week I feel great. I was like, oh my god, like I'm like literally torturing myself over here, and It's like, I do not feel great. If like you feel great, like you're doing it wrong. But that's like I don't want to think that way. I know
Yeah.
it's objectively, I know it's wrong. You know, it's but
I've heard that argument from like, and I want your opinion on this. I know you don't have too much time left because you got to bounce, but
I got like
I've
20, I got 25 minutes.
I've read that it's easier for guys to be happy than women, and that's why women sometimes get salty when they see guys literally with just like a beer and a TV and they're happy, and women can't be. What are your thoughts on that?
I I think it applies to everyone because like I have some guy friends that are just never happy no matter like what they accomplish, and it's like they look at me and it's like, damn man, like I wish I had hobbies, like, and like I don't have anything like that. And I was like, I'm like, well, try them. Um, thank you. Dive Jedi, I like that name. Uh, and it's I have it's tough because you look at them, it's like, dude, you have everything someone could like humbly want in life. You have a family, a beautiful home, you have a great dog. It's enough is never enough.
Uh,
And I think part of like a relationship dynamic is that with some people they give more to a relationship than another. And I think when you see the person, and sometimes unfortunately it's obvious. Like, have you ever like being in a relationship where you love them more than they love you, or
oh,
or you contribute more than they do, and like
no,
seeing them having a good day when like you've been having like a really rough week, but you're still trying to make everything work. And I think it's frustrating. I think frustration boils over, but um I think women are better at conveying frustration than some men because the guys will still be just as frustrated if their chick's doing something or another, but like they're not going to be able to vocalize it as well as say like a female partner. And
it's a
I think
good
that's
point.
part of where the stereotype comes in, that women just hate seeing a man have a good time. I think there's a lot of dudes out there that hate seeing their woman have a good time too, but they're
That's
not
fair.
able to as articulately like vocalize that.
That's a good point. We have yeah, I think a lot of, I don't want to say miscommunication, just lack of communication happens with men. Men tend to not want to talk about their feelings or
Yeah.
much. I feel like
Yeah,
not a lot goes
like,
on in most men's heads.
oh yeah, yeah, and it's like I feel like for me, it's I think a problem with like seeking help with like therapy. For me personally, it's like I feel like if I tell someone something really personal, I'm like automatically afraid they're gonna use that against me.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like we get an argument. Well, just because this happened to you, like doesn't mean like as like okay, well, you shouldn't use that to attack me. You know,
Yeah,
I told you that in confidence, and now you're throwing it in my face. I'm never gonna want to tell somebody else that again.
it's a good point. Or tell that person anything else outside of that. This would be like the
Yeah.
last thing that you told them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, some professionals like I think some people run into a problem where like if they're too honest, you're gonna get like, oh, I think you should be on medication, or like no, I don't feel this way all the time. It's just like sometimes I'm in a rabbit hole and
Yeah.
I'm just like it's basically like free writing for your soul. You're just trying to get as much thought out there as possible. Every
Yeah.
straight thought you're just getting on paper or trying to communicate. But the problem is when you open that bottle, it's hard. You can't recork a bottle the same way that you open it,
Yeah.
and it's a lot. And it's all it's and I think like that's it was I was raised a certain way too, where it's just like don't talk about your problems because people are going to use them against you. And
Mm.
then it's like, oh, now like society's changed. It's not like that anymore. And then you talk about your problems and people use it against you. It's like, well,
They knew. So speaking of rabbit holes, what has been your favorite rabbit hole to go down these past few weeks, months, etc.?
to be honest, man, I just been really focusing on myself.
Hmm.
I like kind of removed myself from, because I have too much. I have a lot going on, and it's great. I feel great. There's like all those ideas that I've had trouble following through with over the years. I'm now like tackling, it's like I'm recording my own music. I'm like getting up there and testing out comedy. I'm getting like great laughs. It's like I'm talking to like more women than I was like, and it's just everything is just going like really well for me. And it's like, I mean, yeah, like, there are important things going on in the world, but it's like I'm not in a position to do anything about that. I can't offer like millions of dollars in aid or something like that. Like I can't tap Kanye on the shoulder and be like, bro, take a walk. I don't have that level of influence yet.
Yeah.
And I think understanding that, and if you want to make a difference, understanding you can't do anything right now, and instead of just drowning in the noise and just focusing on yourself, yeah, I think it's an empowering feeling. Like right now, it's like I'm feeling like, all right, cool. Like, hey, that's great, but I'm gonna go work out instead.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hear about the Ukraine. I don't want to hear like, and obviously like that's not true, but I don't want to be drowned by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. I feel like it's much easier, especially after like 2010, where I like no longer had a TV, and I just like, okay, news isn't always on, commercials aren't always on, and I'm just kind of doing my thing. I felt like problems of the world seemed to get a lot simpler when I removed myself from that, and you
Yeah.
just kind of focus on what's around you. Um, Something that I got into recently was just the not really old science, but kind of like that I've been trying to tell people, or I've been trying to prove that, like, when I say that this universe can be a simulation, that I'm not crazy, and it's backed by science, saying that, okay, well, people thought that light was a particle, and then it turned out that it was a wave, and then it turns out that if you look at a photon, it changes its behavior whether you look at it or not. And it's like, okay, well, that sounds like a gaming engine. That sounds like something that you would see in a game. And then I feel like it doesn't help at all. Like, people still just go and just be like, nah, man, you're just crazy. It's like,
Yeah. Birds aren't real, bro.
I love that subreddit. There's so many subreddits that are so good. Birds
Yeah.
aren't real.
I just the only rabbit hole, like I said, like my early 30s is about being selfish.
Yeah.
Just because that's the next step. That's the next level. It's the grinding.
I'll join you in my mid 30s, or still the early 30s. Be like 1 to 2 years. Omi crypto goes to the moon. I got a whole bunch of money. Can't wait.
Man, it's great. Yeah, that's great. You can meet me in Texas while I'm taking over.
I'll do I'll totally. I mean, how long do you have to stay there for, live there before you can run for Congress?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even check that. But that's obviously on the list. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I would love to be in Congress before I'm 40. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially if I continue building my public profile in a way.
Yeah.
If I like, even if I'm not like, selling out like shows or something like that. If I could just get one Grammy, I think that'd be a nice little benchmark. I have some good songs. I'm not gonna front. Um, but that's another problem. Like about like not sharing my accomplishments with the world, because I
Yeah.
have I have sets where I feel like I did really well, but I'm not sharing it with people. I have songs that I've written. And I was like, that felt like kind of slap, but I'm not sharing it with people. And
I feel like that's how you grow. Like,
I know it's such a dumb dichotomy. It's like, dude, just do it.
yeah, like, is every single every video that I put out like a piece of art? No, most of it's god
Absolutely not.
awful.
I mean, look at you, but you're doing it.
Yeah. 8,000 people on here, 13,000 on Twitter. It's
Yeah.
I, I think by 2024, in that next bull market for
Watching
crypto.
live streams has increased.
Yeah.
Like, are there any
The
questions or anything like that you wanted to go through? I can't see.
um there wasn't really questions. It was just people saying "let's go" and people saying hi.
Uh,
Um yeah, so there wasn't a ton. Um
you do have like a really great. Uh, yeah, you do. You really do have great fans.
Oh, they're the best. Somebody said who's Ty McDonough, but I felt like you answered that during the interview, so I didn't.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
just a childhood friend. We've known each other since we were 4.
good times. Yeah, I can't complain. Like and even the people that like there was a stream. I was doing a 69-hour stream last week, and there was a comment. It was like the first hour too, where I had like just showered. I had just woken up, but I had just showered, and I felt fresh. And someone's like, "So this is what it's like to watch a homeless man stream for 69 hours," and it was funny. Like even if the insults are funny, like that's I'll laugh. If the insults are just like a racial slur that's not, I feel like racial comments can land, and racial comments can be like, okay, that's just mean.
Yeah,
Um,
you can just say a slur, like,
yeah.
you gotta you gotta dress it up, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, I like I love everyone on here, even if they're just like if they're mean. If they're mean and they're funny, then I'll keep them around.
oh, yeah, dude, I don't know how I would be with a following, because like, I tend to, like, I don't know, I can be like a troll, I don't know. I have a very toxic sense of humor.
I know, and it's great. Um, we should have like, do you remember the roast yourself challenge from like 2016?
Yeah, yeah, you made a lot of people sad with yours.
um, yeah, I felt like it wasn't that big of a deal, but people are just like, oh man, you might have gone too far. Like, sorry. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, he talks about your oh my yeah, I sent it to people. I'm like, yeah, this is one of my best friends. And it's like, yeah, and they're like, oh, he did yeah, it was like this guy knows what's up. He knows pain. It's just like he's like, hey, is that story about like the girl true? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh man.
Yeah. I think what Eddie is so strange how some cartoons resonate. I think one of the characters from Ed, Ed and Eddie, I think it was Eddie, they were talking about like childhood trauma, and he's like, it builds character. I was like, yeah, it does. Um, I don't know why. Like when we were talking about diets before, for some reason, it stuck out in my mind that episode of Rugrats where they're worried about Grandpa Lou's health. So he watches a video on like, if you eat cheeseburgers and drink soda, your heart is going to get suffocated. And he's like, oh God, I need to start eating good right now. And it's like, I don't know why that stuck with me or why I haven't thought
Yeah.
about it in 20 years.
Yeah,
But
I remember the artery. Like they illustrate it's like the artery or something.
yeah, it was dying. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
like the cholesterol. I got that scared the crap out of me as a kid. I'm like, oh man, cholesterol is scary.
Yeah. Oh, they, me and my friend Fanny were talking the other day about stuff we saw when we were young, like that kind of messed us up. For me, it was it, and for her, it was I think Child's Play. It was Chucky. Did you watch a scary movie when you were younger? There's like you definitely shouldn't have
I
watched.
was forced to, yeah.
Oh, which one?
Uh, Chucky, It, Friday the 13th,
You were
Nightmare.
forced to watch. How old?
Tales of the Crypt, like 2, 3, 4.
Oh my God,
Man,
Jesus! Why? Why were you forced to? Was it your sister? Was it?
yeah, my sisters and my older cousins, they were just
Oh,
so aggravating. They used it to torture me.
do you still not like clowns? Because I don't like clowns.
I mean, clowns don't bother me.
Okay.
Um, you don't like clowns?
I mean I like the It movies now. I like the new ones and the old that miniseries, but yeah, no, they just something
I don't know.
makes
I
me feel
just like
real uncomfortable.
you know what? I'm just tired of clowns, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm tired of the Joker. I'm tired of how many people love him. I'm just sick of it. I'm just like I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over the scary clown thing. Like, find something else. Like, be a happy clown, man. Like, make balloon animals for kids. Just get over it. Just get over the Joker. He's a dumb villain. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I mean, I guess he's supposed to be scary, but most people look at him now like that's awesome. Like I don't feel like people really look at him as like scary anymore.
He's just overhyped.
Yeah. Maybe in like the Heath Ledger version in like was it '08 when that came out, Dark Knight.
Yeah, 708, one of those.
Yeah, that was he was I don't know, there was a couple scenes that like I actually did I was like, "Oh wow, it's pretty dark." Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like when he has the camera and he's forcing the guy to read off cue cards, and then you know that he like straight up murked the dude like sort of like right after, and it's like
Mm.
it's like Jesus, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a terrible movie. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I thought that was great. Yeah, people don't know that your taste in media is so warped for whatever reason.
Bro, I was at a bar last night hanging out with some friends
Yeah.
and closing up, and I don't even know how Star Wars came up, but I decided crapping on Star Wars. And I'm like, yeah, episode 1 is the only good one. And they're like,
Pissed off all the nerds in the room.
yeah. Yeah. And
Oh,
like one girl was like, oh, I haven't seen Star Wars. I was like, you're not missing anything. Like, you're good. The only good part about Star Wars is the lightsabers and the Ewoks.
oh my god. I mean, lightsabers are great, but there's so many good things about it. Even like the newer movies get like really crapped on in like a really bad way.
Yeah,
Um,
it's terrible.
yeah, they're not. There's a lot of things that most everyone would change.
Oh, they hoodwinked the black community into supporting episode 7 by by making us think that we were gonna have like a black Luke, and then
Uh,
he ends up being Black Leia.
yeah, I mean he does have a lightsaber for a bit, and here's what pissed me off about that battle is that Kylo Ren's supposed to be one of these like great, amazing like the warrior of his day,
So
and he can't take on somebody that has had zero lightsaber training in like 3 moves.
yeah, so here's one of the many dumb things about episode 7.
Oh,
It was like 30 minutes in when I realized, oh my god, this is a bad movie. Um, but one of the like the 2000 trilogy, right? 1, 2, and 3, like you saw the progress of time in cinema, whereas like the lightsaber duels were very beautiful and like like master class,
yeah,
choreography. And then like if you look at the original trilogy, it was just very hack and slash, like rah, rah,
yeah.
rah. And so it's like episode 7 continued the hack and slash, and it's just like we're just a bunch of rageaholics like swinging swords, swinging light. And yeah, it was terrible. It's just terrible. It's a terrible series.
Agreed on the hack and slash stuff. I mean, there were some things that I did like, but there was one of the quotes that, and I hated this character, Rose, the
I didn't watch that movie because I already gave up on Star Wars. But like, I feel like, I mean, that girl. I feel bad for the actress. She got all this hate. I'm like, yo, it's just the way they wrote the character. Like,
yeah, not her fault.
they wanted her to act like this. This is what she acted like. She did her job. And yeah, I feel like you're hating this woman for no reason.
Uh, but she did say a quote that says, uh, "Don't destroy what you hate, protect what you love." I was like, okay, I really do like that quote. Um, just because, like we were talking about before, if you're talking about revenge and murder, and
Yeah.
people that have drank from that fountain don't quench, but saving is a bit different. So I do like that. I mean, I know that's like a needle in a haystack. Like, hey, you found the one quote out of the 3 movies that doesn't suck.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember a quote from like episode 7 that I liked, but I just remember hearing Harrison Ford say Ben, and I wanted to turn off the movie.
Yeah,
Because I was a big fan of the comics, and Ben was Luke's son in the
yeah,
comics, and there was just
yeah. They messed up a ton.
no.
Um,
I just like I knew Disney was gonna do their own thing. I just I don't know, Disney buying Star Wars ended my Star Wars fandom.
but do you feel that way about like the Mandalorian or about
I'm
the
not gonna
new?
watch a series without lightsabers. That's just redundant to me.
Well, there was a series recently where they went over like like a prequel to the prequels, where you see like Ahsoka being born. You see, and I'm not going to spoil it, but you see Dooku in his prime. You see more of Yaddle. You see Qui-Gon Jinn when he was younger. Like it's pretty legit.
That's
I
cool.
would I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, I might check it out. Like, I wanna watch the Obi-Wan series just to see like the Vader fight.
Yeah, that's good.
But I don't know.
A
I'm
lot
not.
a lot of the series doesn't. Yeah,
I
I don't know.
I just don't have expectations, so it's hard for them to portray me. And the great thing about me is I watch everything at 1.5 speed, so
Yeah,
it's just like, I process it in a split. Like
yeah.
yesterday, I watched Jurassic World Dominion, um, and
That's the second one, right?
it's the last one, the third one.
Okay, gotcha.
And the movie's runtime was before credits, it was 2 hours and 16 minutes. I watched it at like 1.5 speed. I finished it in an hour and a half.
Nice.
And it was like, oh my God, it's a pretty good movie. But it was just like at the same time, like, you know what? I feel like if I watched this at regular speed, I would have been like, all right, this movie kind of sucks. So it's a little slow for me, but
Yeah.
I don't have
Um,
that problem anymore.
yeah, I did like it. I didn't like the second one that much. In this, new trilogy, but I did like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But I also watched it in an hour and a half.
that's
I
true.
feel like productions for TV shows and some movies, they they purposely was that Jen?
No, no,
Oh,
it's not.
oh, okay. Yeah, Jin, got it. Uh I feel like they purposely slow down. They like when they like in their like post production, they like they won't play a movie or a show at regular speed. They'll slow it down like maybe like zero point 0.9 of regular speed to kind of like fill up space of an episode or a runtime.
Yeah,
Because sometimes I'm watching the show and I'm like, there's no way this is regular speed. Like it feels like very slow. It
yeah,
just like I feel like I'm like because you play it at 125, it seems like regular talking speed. I'm like, okay, like what's the difference here?
yeah.
It just seems like it's like we're stupid and they're talking slow to us. That's exactly what it feels like. I'm like, man, speed that up. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. You might have certain people say, okay, well, general population, let's say that watch this particular genre is not that smart, so we should slow down so more people enjoy it. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
maybe.
I mean, like, I also think because it's like we're New Yorkers, like we're used to like, people speaking faster. Uh, okay, I've heard of that. Um, it's just like we speak faster. It's just we're used to like a more upbeat way of life, just like constantly going at it.
Yeah, just
Um,
being in New York or the tri-state area in general, just tend
yeah,
to like you ever try to order a bacon, egg, and cheese in like Florida or like any deli
yeah,
outside of New York, and they're like, what? What'd you say?
yeah. Like when I went to UConn, just walking to class on campus, it was just I would walk with a girl and like she'd be like, why are you walking so fast? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like we got to go to class. Like, yeah, but like we're not gonna be late. I'm like you're literally like crawling to me. I don't know.
What was she short? Because you got long legs. I feel like the girl
I
might
mean,
have.
all right, but like at the same time, like I feel like people in New York wouldn't have had a trouble keeping up with my gait, so to speak.
No, it's true. That's fair. We will have more on walking and movies and anime for you to piss people off on next time. I know
All
you
right.
got to bounce.
Yeah,
Thank you all
I
for
gotta
coming
get
on.
ready.
I'm going to
Yep.
say goodbye to Dashi. Goodbye, Dashi.
Bye, Dutchie.
Catch you all later. Goodbye, guys. Meow, meow.
Yeah.
Ending the broadcast.